left to right. Russell Westbrook. You love the Philadelphia Eagles. Let me get a hell yeah!
What is up, everybody? Welcome to Party on Broad. Guys, 2 weeks until Christmas Day hits Philadelphia. That's right. The NFL draft is exactly 2 weeks away. So in that spirit, I'm bringing on my guy, the host of the Tough Cover podcast. He is Mark Henry. What's up, Mark?
I'm happy to be here. Can't believe it's only 2 weeks away. It felt like when I first started coming on Party on Broad, it felt like such a distant thing in the future. And now we're here. We only got 2 weeks to go. I'm ready to go.
It's like 2 weeks away. What can Howie do wrong? All right, guys. All right, so this is our 9th mock draft. We've done the perfect mock draft. We've done the nightmare scenario mock draft. We've done the no trade mock draft. By the way, you suck for beating me in that mock, which was terrible. Of all the mock drafts to have Justin Fields and Mac Jones there at 12 and all the cornerbacks and wide receivers gone, man, that was no fun. But you blew me out. Congratulations. What am I talking about? So what we're doing here is a dueling mock. And when we pick our squads, we throw them on social media and you vote for who had the best Eagles 7-round mock draft. That's what we're doing today. So we're going to do a live mock draft. Guys, if you're watching us live, please be sure to comment. We'll respond to all of your questions, even if it doesn't have to do with the Eagles. If it happens to do with the Sixers, we'll hang out with you guys. But
I don't know if I can talk Sixers.
Well, definitely not Phillies or Flyers.
Yeah, no, I'm joking.
All right, I'll lead us off. Again, thank you to the Draft Network for having this beastly website, which has taken over my life over the last several months. But here we go. We're doing a 7-round Eagles mock draft. Let's start the draft. I'm going to pause it every now and then, especially here in the first few rounds. So you look at the draft here. Bang, 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 bang. 4 quarterbacks off the board. That is very good for the Philadelphia Eagles. Kyle Pitts to the Bengals. Here we go. Jamar Chase, Dolphins, Penny, Rashawn. And we've got the Denver Broncos on the clock. I think they either go probably cornerback or quarterback. I'm going to stay put. They go Mac Jones. So this is falling really good for the Philadelphia Eagles. We've got Surtain, who will likely go to the Dallas Cowboys, him or Waddle. We've got J.C. Horn or Surtain to the Dallas Cowboys. We've got Jalen Waddle still on the board. We've got Devontae Smith still on the board. This is a very good scenario. Like, am I right, Mark? Like, this is like pretty much to the T what we want to see come draft night. We would like to see like a guy like Jalen Phillips or some sort of edge like linebacker, you name it, jump up into this top 10 to drop another one of our guys here. We have Brian joining. What up? What's going on, man? Dude, react to our picks. How would you grade each one of our picks? That's what we're here for. Talk all the trash, man. It's a lot of fun. What scares me, though, is the Giants there at pick 11 with no offensive tackle. You have Rashawn Slater gone. So it looks like either way, I'm going to get probably one of my top 3 on my personal big board. So I'm going to resume the draft. All right, so I am on the clock. I got a trade offer. I'm declining, and there it is. So I've got pick number 12. Jalen Waddle did, in fact, go to the Giants. Surtain did, in fact, go to the Dallas Cowboys. So I've got J.C. Horn. I've got Devontae Smith. And this is that kind of fun scenario here where do you go cornerback or do you go wide receiver? And I feel like this is a really interesting question for a lot of Eagles fans. For me personally, I highly value defensive back over wide receiver at this point. My gut feeling, my heart tells me J.C. Horn is my pick for the Eagles at 12. I think that is a near lock. So with that being said, I'm going to draft J.C. Horn, a super aggressive player, potential CB1, plug and play, day one, right next to Darius Slay on the outside. I'm going to hit pause, by the way. And with that said, you're up, man. Go ahead. I'll share your stream.
Awesome. Yeah. There we go. So, I'll kind of give my thoughts on J.C. Horn and the whole. I guess it has kind of come down to like it seems like corner versus wide receiver is really like the debate at 12. But let's see how mine goes and see if that's a relevant debate here. We'll start the draft. But yeah, I would say that your draft went well. Obviously, Atlanta at 4, taking a quarterback would be huge. That would definitely push down some guys. It happens here as well. Sewell at 5, Pitts at 6, Chase at 7. I don't see the Dolphins drafting Pitts. That's a side comment. But Slater at 8, Mac Jones 9, Surtain 10. And now I have some offers. It looks like at least one of Waddle or Smith have to be there. I didn't see who the Giants took at 11. So I'm going to decline these offers from the Chargers. That's interesting. Just moving back one pick and picking up a 5th-round pick. Let me see what's available. So the Giants did take Jalen. Every mock I do, the Giants get Jalen Waddle. That is so frustrating because if you followed me recently, you know I've fallen in love with both Waddle and Surtain. After being, I wouldn't say low on them at all, but I wasn't as high on them as, Devonta Smith, Jamar Chase, Kyle Pitts, as those guys. And I would put them in that tier now. So now that we're looking with those guys off the board, the top guys available for Draft Network are J.C. Horn and Devonta Smith, which you kind of just had to wrestle with. And then you have the O-linemen, you have Micah Parsons, Jalen Phillips, and a couple edge guys. So I'm actually going to pull up, thankfully, because the Draft Network's a great website. I have my own big board on here. So I pull it up and see I pull it up and see.
What up?
Yeah, I'm real high on Gregory Rousseau, but I am aware that, I'm not just going to be a slave to my big board. You have to be aware of value as well. So I'm looking at it, and I have Devonta Smith, number 3 overall. The next guys available will be Rousseau at 10, Owusu-Koramoah at 11, Parsons at 12, Darisaw, Vera Tucker, Morrig, Horn, and Farley. So I'm going to go ahead and take Devonta Smith, but I'm going to keep an eye out as I sim through the rest of the first round on guys like Gregory Rousseau, Owusu-Koramoah, Parsons, and Morrig to see if there's a possibility to jump up. But let me select Devonta Smith.
We have Ginn saying Devontae Smith. We have Brian from the Joe Show saying Smith, no doubt. I disagree with that, but that's just me. I fully agree that you need to give Jalen Hurts an adequate shot during his tryout in 2021. But for me, I think J.C. Horn is just a much more valuable pick at that spot. A CB1 over Devontae Smith, which I don't know. I don't know how reliable that guy is going to be offensively. But with that said, I'm going to go on my big board, and we have paused it, and we are going to resume. Again, I've got J.C. Horn there at pick 12. Jalen Waddle, man, the Giants just broke my heart there. That truly sucked.
So you would go Waddle over Horn?
Yes, 100%.
Okay, interesting.
Yep. Yeah, my top 3 is Waddle, Surtain, and Horn.
You're putting Chase and Pitts in a different category, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. I'm pausing the draft. Pick 21. Greg Newsome goes. Great fit for the Eagles there. He's gone. Micah Parsons gone. Let's resume. Getting a trade offer. That is not happening.
Tennessee always tries to get out of that 22nd pick, it seems, in these mocks.
Phillips is gone. Trevon Morrig is gone. That's my guy. That is my guy.
He seems to have risen a bit.
Yeah. I keep pausing it here because I got pick 37 coming. I want to make sure I don't miss anything. Caleb Farley there, 28 to the Saints. Again, on my big board here, you've got Zaven Collins, Christian Barmore, 2 very good fits. Eric Stokes. I already got J.C. Horn. Kadarius Toney is an interesting name. I'm going to just keep it rolling here. Christian Barmore, that means I have got 5 picks away. I'm getting very nervous because there's a guy I circled here. Pause. All right, Javonte Williams is off the board. You've got the Falcons. And I'm going to trade with the Falcons. I'm going to absolutely trade with the Atlanta Falcons here just to ensure that I have a well-balanced top 2 picks. Let's go up. We're going to trade up 2 spots. Let's offer a 7. They don't want to do it. Let's give them a 6. Wow, interesting. All right, I'm going to give them a 6 and a 7. All right, we have traded up a couple spots here, and the guy that I'm circling clearly is Terrace Marshall. I'm going to go a 6'2" wide receiver here. He had a 39-inch vert, 4.38 40-yard dash. He can play pretty much all over the field, outside, slot at LSU. This guy clearly has been talked about with the Philadelphia Eagles. I think this is a pretty realistic top 2 picks I have for the Philadelphia Eagles. J.C. Horn at 12, Terrace Marshall at a trade up 35. So I'm going to go Terrace Marshall, and I'm going to make the selection official. And that means, pause, and that means you are on the clock, Mark.
I like that pick. I have 2 questions for you real quick. Are you a Horn over Surtain guy?
No, I'm not.
You have Surtain? Okay.
I have Surtain above him because of the Howie factor.
Mm-hmm.
The Howie factor is real. You just don't pass on a blue chip guy. The Eagles absolutely must hit at cornerback. You look at cornerback, and it's so devoid of young talent. If you can get a number 1 quarterback 1 on this roster, you do it. J.C. Horn absolutely has his weaknesses. Surtain absolutely has a little bit of lower ceiling that we've always just talked about ad nauseum. Mm-hmm. But you take the sure thing there, and you figure out the rest later.
And then one more question. Would you rather come out of the first 2 rounds with J.C. Horn and Terrace Marshall, or Devonta Smith and Caleb Farley?
That's a great question.
Because that's something I've looked at a couple times, the Smith-Farley combo. So
that's like the 1A, 1B. When you're talking about 12 and 37, like what is like the top scenarios? I like Horn more than Caleb Farley. Obviously, the injury history with Caleb Farley, although he checked out the recent medicals, he is fine. The back is good. He still has first round, like in terms of ceiling, Caleb Farley is right up there. So I'm like here, J.C. Horn, here, Devonta Smith, and Caleb Farley. I'm probably like here, and Terrace Marshall here.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much dead even.
Yeah.
Pretty much dead even. I feel like, so here's my thing. When you're in the second round, I feel like I'm more comfortable going for one, like almost a high ceiling guy over the first round, because the Eagles have missed so much with top talent. That's why I go Surtain over Horn. But when it comes to the second round, Caleb Farley, man, that would be a great selection.
Yeah, it's just such high upside, especially at pick 37, or if you have to move up a little bit. So let me see what happens. J.C. Horn went the pick after to the Chargers. 14 is usually going to be an O lineman. Yeah, Darisaw to the Vikings, Parsons to the Patriots, Vera Tucker to the Cardinals. Wow, a lot of O linemen right there in a row. Eddie N at 18, Miami would be really high. Owusu Koramoah, 19 is interesting.
That's your boy.
Yeah, I love JOK. Tennessee offering a first and a third for a second, and I'm assuming my first next year. Third and it's not that crazy, I guess. You're moving back. You're moving up 15 picks right now. You're moving back 30 picks, and you're giving up a fifth. It's not that crazy. I just don't see a guy that's worth moving up for, so I'm going to decline. But that's actually one of the better offers I've gotten from Tennessee, because they seem to try to get out of that pick all the time. Phillips 23, I guess Jacksonville's calling second and a fourth and a sixth for a first. I'm gonna stay pat and see how this plays out. Harris at 25, Dickerson 24, Baltimore 26, Ojulari, Kwity Paye. I don't see him lasting that long, but I think he should. David Collins, Elijah Moore, Jamin Davis, Jonte Williams. Let's pause real quick. Kadarius Toney 33. You got guys like Owa, Farley. Obviously, Terrace Marshall is very high on my board. With Devonta Smith, I wouldn't be focusing on him. Eichenberg would be the top O-lineman on my board out of Notre Dame, which is probably biased. But and then Gregory Rousseau, obviously, someone I'm really high on. Carlos Basham, Jabril Cox, guys I'm really high on. So I'm going to let it play out. I have enough guys there that I like. Hopefully Rousseau or Farley. Oh, Farley went. So whatever. Owa goes to Atlanta. Miami must have made some pick. I'm going to see what Tennessee's looking at here. A second, a fourth, and a fifth to move back 16 picks. A second, a fourth, and a seventh to move back. Indy, definitely not. Maybe I'll revisit that Tennessee offer in a minute, but I'm going to decline for now. And I'm going to look at the best available here at pick 37. For them, they have it as Stokes, Cosme,
Nice.
Bolton, Eichenberg, Raduns, and Wizarike. But let's pull up my top 100.
I need to make one of these.
Yeah, it's fun. And then it's like you can toggle it and just drag and drop them right above each other when you're like kind of trying to compare them. It's fun. Gregory Rousseau at 10 for me, Basham at 22, Rondale Moore at 28 for me overall, Eichenberg 32. So those would be really Rousseau, Basham, Eichenberg, and Asante would be the four guys I'd really be looking at here with an emphasis on Rousseau and Basham. So I'm tempted, I'm really tempted to try and trade back a little bit, to San Francisco's pick or to Jacksonville's pick or something like that. But I'm just gonna take Gregory Rousseau. He's been my guy so much. I can't believe I'm doing the same exact top two picks here, but I wanted to take Caleb Farley. That's what I've been doing quite often. Has been getting Devonta Smith and then moving up a couple picks for Farley or hoping Farley falls to 37. So that is definitely why I pitched that scenario earlier because I'm interested in that. But if I came up with Smith and Rousseau, I'd be really happy.
All right. I am up here. Joe says, or Brian says, what's the site? It is the Draft Network, man. It's the best. It's the absolute best. All right, here we go. Time to roll on. I've got a wide receiver. I've got a cornerback. Let's resume the draft. Eric Stokes is off the board. Rondale Moore is off the board. I don't have a pick till 70, I believe. Creed Humphrey went off the board. I was hoping he would slip a little bit. So we're going to keep going here. Davis Mills is off the board. He does not go to the Philadelphia Eagles. That is funny. There's your boy, Gregory Rousseau. Let's keep rolling. Oh, wait. He didn't. All right, Gregory Rousseau just went off the board. I'm going to do another trade here with LA. We're going to trade up 13 spots. We're trading up 13 spots. They'll take a 7th round pick. You can have my 7th round pick. Who cares? They accept. The Eagles are on the board. And with that said, the guy I am going with here is – where is he? Oh, my gosh, he was taking at – I didn't even see he was taking at 51. All right, I've got to improvise. What should I do here? What should I do? I'm looking at my big board. Richie Grant is there. God, that was funny. All right, so the guy I'm going to go with is I'm going to address a position here that is a major need, and you touched on it, Mark, and that is edge. I'm not a believer in Derek Barnett. I'm not a believer in Josh Sweat. Those are fine rotation guys, but the guy I've always talked about, and I'm going to stick to my board here, is Carlos Basham Jr. He has great size, really strong size, 6'3". He would do really well as a starter in a 4-3 scheme. So I think Carlos Basham Jr. Makes a lot of sense here. Again, Gregory Rousseau. Our boards are kind of the same here, which is really fun. I was targeting Jabril Cox, but he is now gone. So with that said, I'm going to go Carlos Basham Jr. here and add some depth, starting potential there at defensive line. You're up, man.
So I just did this while we were doing this so I could speed it along a little bit. I decided after Jabril Cox and Asante Samuel went off the board that I really wanted to get up and get no lineman because I didn't see a reason. Now that I got an edge, Basham's not going to fall. Joe Tryon's not going to fall. So I didn't see a reason to sit there and wait at 70. So instead of giving up late round picks this year, I ended up giving a third and a third for a second this year and a fifth next year. So I basically gave up a third for a fifth next year and moved up from early third to about early second. So it's a pretty big jump, 29 picks to 41. And we have the Stokes for their board: Stokes, Cosme, Bolton, Eichenberg, Raduns, Omuzarike, Browning. So if we go to my board, like I said, when I picked Russo, Eichenberg was the best offensive tackle available for me. He's like a long-term starter at a place that has produced an absolute ton of offensive linemen lately. I'm obviously a little biased, like I've said a couple times, but I'm a Notre Dame fan, and I've watched Eichenberg just completely take down whoever he's going against on the other side against really good competition a lot of the time, because Notre Dame plays just about every conference. So I'm going with Eichenberg here at 41 so I can lock up an offensive lineman, because I've found that when I don't take an offensive lineman in the first 3 rounds, I'm trying to scroll up, pause. There we go. When I don't take an offensive lineman in the first 3 rounds, I just can't seem to find value later on the offensive line, which obviously there will be, but I just can't see that as of right now. So I've really placed an emphasis on trying to get an offensive lineman in the first 3 rounds, and in this one I moved up to do it.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. All right, I'm on the board here. Let's roll on. I've got edge, wide receiver, and corner here as my picks. Let's resume the draft. Here we go. Looking at the board falling here. Richie Grant goes off the board at pick 65. I am coming up here at pick 84. Now we stop, and I'm really upset because Tyson Campbell is a guy that I also really wanted. For me personally, a big part of this draft is I want to add as many outside corners to the Eagles as I can. If you can find 2 outside corners in the top 4 or 5 rounds, you absolutely do it. If you're Howie Roseman, Tyson Campbell is terrific, great size, definitely your prototypical outside corner. He just went, which makes me nervous with the Washington football team up next, because obviously there's another big position of need here that I have on my board, and I'm going to make a trade with the Washington football team, which is like a violation in itself, right? Like you don't do that. But let's see if they take a 6. They'll take a 6. We're going to trade up 10 spots. Oh, they don't want it. All right, no. Let's see if we. All right, we had a cornerback and a tight end go to Washington, and then Dallas, and then of course the Giants are up. Let's see if we can trade with the Giants. I love making trades. Trades are my favorite. There's nothing better. All right, let's see if they'll accept the 6th. See what the Giants say. Sorry. All right, give them a little bit of a better 6th rounder. Oh, wow. Okay. Interesting. I am not giving them a 5th rounder. I'm going to hide this. Let's see how if they. Oh, stop. No. All right, thank God. All right, here we go. See, you know what that happens when they give you a trade-off and you're like, because then you can't pause it. And that's, anyway, we have Maddie Shells here saying, wow, Mills is off the board. That would be my nightmare scenario. Of course, the Eagles select him in the 2nd round or something. It's happened before. Let's trade up with the Vikings. My guy is still on the board. All right, looks like they're going to accept here. All right. I am hitting the needs of the Eagles across the board here. Very good balance, and the guy I'm targeting is Chaz Surratt. He came to North Carolina to play quarterback. He then transitioned to linebacker, first team all ACC selection, runner-up for ACC Defensive Player of the Year. Chaz Surratt, man, he definitely has a lot of polish, dropping back in coverage, which is something the Eagles so desperately need. I don't care about Davion Taylor. That guy is pretty much off my entire brain. So I think Chaz Surratt's a guy that plug and play, a great athlete, and I think would immediately give you an impact there in 2021. I'm going Chaz Surratt, just a great athlete overall. And with that, I will pause my draft. And you're up, dude.
All right, okay. So looking at the picks that I simmed it to 84 because since I made that such a big move from 70 to 41, I feel like I can't really afford to really make another move to move up from 84. And I don't have a problem with that because there's some guys there I like anyway, but just looking at some of the guys that went right before, Tyson Campbell, a guy you already talked about, Richie Grant, safety out of UCF, who's interesting, Melifonwu out of Syracuse, Javon Holland, Chaz Surratt, the guy you just mentioned, Quinn Miners, a fast riser in the draft. So a couple guys that I would have been interested in. So you look at the predictive board, Tylan Wallace, your boy Davis Mills, Michael Carter, Jackson Carman, Spencer Brown, Kenneth Gainwell. So let me pull up my top 100, and I have Tylan Wallace at the top of the board. But since I took Devonta Smith, I'm not going to take another receiver this early. Jackson Carman. So here's a situation where it's like I probably wouldn't have moved up to 41 had I known Carman would be there at 84. He's the guy that's protected Trevor Lawrence's blind side for the last couple of years, and I think he's a solid pick. I actually think he's someone who Jacksonville will definitely look into getting because I've heard Trevor Lawrence talk about him. But that's someone I would be interested in there if I didn't move that pick. But I'm going to stick with the classics, an oldie but a goodie. I've made this pick too many times, but Trey Sermon at 84 just makes too much sense to me personally. Let me switch over to the predictive board before I make the pick. But I like Trey Sermon for his ability to protect the passer, which I think will be huge with Jalen Hurts, especially in an offense where he's going to be running around a lot. And I think that Trey Sermon's the perfect fit next to Miles Sanders. Hopefully, Miles Sanders goes back to being an absolute stud on being a receiving back, which Trey Sermon isn't really have that capability. He's pretty much everything else you want out of a running back between the tackles and pass blocking. But I think if Miles Sanders can go back to being sure-handed and being a really good receiving back, that would be a really, really dangerous duo to have at running back from day one.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. All right. I am on the board here. Let's keep it rolling. Let's hit resume. Pause. I'm going to try and trade up again. I'm trading up with the Bears and let's see what happens. I'm trading up from the 4th round into the 3rd round. I'm going to give them a 5th rounder. Congratulations. So the Eagles are on the clock again in round 3. All right. And the guy I'm targeting is exactly what I said the pick before this. The guy I want is another outside corner. I focused heavily on my recent mock drafts on adding at least 2 outside corners to develop. I don't know how much longer Darius Slay has in Philadelphia. I got J.C. Horn, who I love. That's my future CB1. But you look across the board, the Eagles don't have another outside corner other than Darius Slay. But moving forward, that's my play. We're in the 3rd round here. I'm going to go with a super athletic, lanky cornerback. He's just under 6'1", nearly 200 pounds, 4'3", 840. This guy had a ton of passes broken up. He's a playmaker, interception machine. The guy I'm going with is Robert Rochelle. Robert Rochelle here. I am trading up for Robert Rochelle, and I really like this pick out of Central Arkansas because he gives you exactly what you need. You need guys that can play that outside corner spot. You're going to see the Eagles play a lot of cover 2. You need playmakers across the board. You got the aggressiveness out of J.C. Horn, who I think is a playmaker. Now you got another lanky developmental playmaker out of Central Arkansas, and that is Robert Rochelle. I'm really happy about this. I'm really happy because you look at where I'm at here. I've addressed major positions of need. As the draft process has proceeded over the last couple of months, me personally, I have shifted from offensive minded to defensive minded. I think where the Eagles fall in this draft, there is much more value, especially defensively. And you look at my picks, we've got a linebacker that can cover. We've got 2 playmakers outside cornerbacks and J.C. Horn and Robert Rochelle. You've got Terrace Marshall, who's a uber athlete that can play outside or slot. And then Carlos Basham is a monster of an edge rusher that can play all over the line. He's 6'3", but like 81-inch wingspan. You're like your boy Gregory Rousseau. He's just an athletic marvel. So my God, like Chaz Surratt, I've got athletes up the wazoo here, and I'm really happy about it. You're up, dude.
Yeah, I mean, Basham is a guy I have 22 overall. So I absolutely love Basham. He's probably like my third or fourth favorite edge rusher in the draft. I just like Rousseau because he's a little more freakish and athletic. But I could absolutely – I thought about moving back where I took Rousseau and just taking whoever was left out of Rousseau or Basham because I love Basham. Surratt's another guy I have top 50. So I'm definitely liking what you're doing. So I'm going to resume my draft right here. Tylan Wallace went after me at 85. Cameron McGrone. The next pick after 84 is what? It's like one. What is it?
I'm going to resume my draft because I only have one pick left in the 6th round.
Oh yeah.
There you go. And since we're on normal, I don't want everyone to just kind of watch the picks of 3 rounds. Just that'd be kind of boring.
Yeah.
Rufus Rogers says Trey is good, but Andre Sisco is there. I love Andre Sisco.
Me too.
Hard to take him, especially if Herbert is available.
Yeah, I like Sisco a lot. He's ranked really low on the Draft Network. I have him way higher than his ranking. There goes Sisco at 104 and Rochelle at 105.
So when we did our like best picks of day 2, I think Andre Sisco was in my top 5. I'm pretty sure he was like way up there. So I liked him, and like you said, like I'm not sure why he's so low on Draft Network, but here we are.
How many? What are we at? What are we? 120?
Yeah, I can't see.
Yeah, for some reason it's not. The picks aren't moving on top.
I don't really know because I can't really tell. You traded up, right?
Yeah, but I didn't use a 4th. Yeah, 123. I couldn't remember. I thought we were 120 in the 4th round, but 123. So you're looking at the top guys available. It's Ardarius Washington, Cameron Sample, Divine Diablo. So let's pull up my top 100. And you've got Jalen Darden, a guy I've loved for a long time. Dylan Moses, a linebacker who's fallen drastically as of late. Sean Wade, a corner who's fallen a lot as well. But let's pull up. I believe I want to see what those rankings are on Draft Network for Darden, Moses, and Wade. I'd be happy with any of these 3 guys in the 4th round, really. I do know a couple of them have way lower grades on them than that. But I'm probably sticking on defense here because I think that I can get Darden a little bit later, hopefully. So I'm looking at Dylan Moses or Sean Wade. This is a tough decision. Do I want to go with a linebacker? Do I want to go with a cornerback? I think they're both pretty huge positions of need. It feels like no matter what you do with the Eagles, and this is just the nature of being a rebuilding team with a lot of holes, you're leaving out some sort of hole, whether that be an offensive lineman or an edge rusher or a linebacker or a corner. But I'm going to stick with Sean Wade at cornerback out of Ohio State, a guy I've taken before. Guy's had a lot of experience. I know that a lot of people aren't very high on him because he's had some not great moments in big spots that's kind of what it comes to mind when people think of Sean Wade, but he started for a long time on a great defense, and I think he's going to fit in well right away to his scheme because he's played multiple years. So I like Sean Wade to plug and play at least a little bit as a depth cornerback.
Love it. Should I just go to mine or should we keep going to yours? Because I'm in. So while I was watching yours, it did it again. Where you look at it skipped my pick at round 6 and picked for me, which I hate. And you look at players available. So I'm going to just make the executive decision. I would have taken Jalen Darden there in round 6, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just going to like make the executive decision. He's still there in round 7. So I'm just so everyone knows he's still there. So I'm not cheating.
So I'm actually going to take this trade offer that I got. Oh wait, my screen's not up anymore. My bad.
Hold on. So long story short, we'll review it.
No, yeah.
I'm going to replace that with Jalen Darden there with pick 189.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, for sure. So I'm actually going to accept this trade, a 5th and a 6th, to move up for a 4th right now. So let's check out what we got. Go to my top 100. And it's either going to be Darden or Moses. I'm going to go with Dylan Moses just because I've seen Jalen Darden last really long. And there's some other receivers that, worst case, I'd be fine taking as a lottery ticket receiver. So let's go with Dylan Moses, a guy that's fallen really far. I know that a lot of people don't seem to be very high on him. Another guy who started for a really good defense for a long time, hopefully is the type of guy that can kind of help right away, because with our linebackers, that's what we need. We could obviously use any sort of infusion of talent at the linebacker position, even if it's from the 5th round. So I'm going to go Dylan Moses, and I'm happy that I was able to address corner and linebacker, even if it was late here.
Such a good pick. Dude, your last 3 picks, I'm a huge fan of. Huge fan.
It looks like all the players. This looks like a John Gruden draft where all the players that I took are from like name brand schools, but Alabama, Miami, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Alabama, whatever. Sticking with the name brands here.
Love it. Just keep rolling because I'm done.
Yeah. All right, let's go. So at this point, I'm just hoping for Jalen Darden to fall to my next pick. If Jalen Darden goes, I'll be sad. Kenny Yeboah is an interesting tight end out of Ole Miss. I'll try to. Daz Newsome's a guy from UNC who I like a lot. Diami Brown gets a lot more of the, attention because he's the deep threat receiver out of UNC who's going to go way higher. But Newsome was just as productive, if not more so. Yeah, it's frustrating that it doesn't update the top for me. It seems like I have to manually move it. Trying to figure out what my next pick is, since I just traded my 5th and my 6th round pick. Patrick Jones, the end who just went there, is someone that I've seen McShay have in like the first 2 rounds.
Okay.
So that's an interesting thing. I think there's another name like that. There's a DN from Houston as well, I believe, that I've seen McShay or Kuiper both be high on that are really low on here. And I think that there is a good chance in terms of this draft in general that a lot of these guys that we were pegging as day 2 guys or day 3 guys, or a lot of these guys that we're pegging as day 3 guys or day 2 guys, because it's just a lot. There's no information like there is in prior years. There's no combine. There was no interviews with a lot of these guys. So it's going to be a little bit of the wild, wild west, in my opinion. So I think it should be interesting to see how many surprises there are.
Okay. I'm going to just resume my draft just so it ends.
Yeah. This is taking a while. It's like the normal speed works for like the first 2 or 3 rounds, but then once you get to like the 5th, it's like I wish I could adjust the speed.
Yeah, but this is day 3 on Saturday at noon, and you're like out shooting hoops or at the dog park.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like you're out doing things. So when it's just like you watching a screen, it's completely different. Normally day 3, I'm just like kind of monitoring it a ton on my phone.
Exactly.
Rufus Rogers says Dylan Moses is a beast. I see him being a starter by year 2. I love Dylan Moses, man. Dude, Rufus, thanks for joining, by the way. You've been really consistently doing our shows. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I like this guy's takes, too. Andre Cisco and Dylan Moses. I like that.
Yeah, dude, you're on it, man. You're on it. I love both of those guys. So we're wrapping it up here. You're at pick 189.
Yep, let's go to my big board. Jalen Darden is available. We're throwing a party. It's like when the Bears took Trubisky in there. Have you ever seen that video with the Bears all patting themselves on the back for taking Trubisky second? That's what I'd be doing with Jalen Darden at 189.
I love it.
There we go. Now the draft is perfect.
Yeah, your draft is strong, bro.
I'm definitely happy with this. I'm trying to think like what I kind of could have done differently, and I do kind of regret making that Eichenberg move to move up. Now that I saw obviously Jackson Carman last at 84, so if I would have stuck at 70 and stuck at 84, I would have not had to shift a 3rd for a 5th next year. But it's not too big of a deal. I'm not beating myself too much up over it because I like the draft so much, but. I guess that's something to note going forward, that there could be I could be overrating the dearth at offensive line and kind of glossing over other positions in the 2nd or 3rd round because of how not deep I think it is. Am I okay or what's going on here?
Okay. All right, so you're at round 6. I'm going to throw mine. Do you have more picks of it coming?
It's going super slow now. It got to the 6th round. I'm trying to see. I wish it listed your upcoming picks.
I know.
My picks. 224.
The only way you can do that is if you pause and go to the trade and see what you've got coming.
That's a good point, actually.
That's about it. But you can pause it if you want. Oh, you have a pick here, 224.
Yeah. By the way, I did want to say about Robert Rochelle, your guy that you picked earlier. That's the first guy I've ever heard come from Central Arkansas that's not named Scottie Pippen. So.
Oh, snap! You mean Ben Simmons?
Yeah. So I've taken 2 receivers. I've taken a running back. I've taken an O-lineman. I've taken an edge, a linebacker, a cornerback. It's a shame I wasn't able to get a safety. But is there anyone still hanging on the top of my big board? You got Trey Norwood, Paris Ford. Where are these guys ranked overall? I'm probably going to go with one of those guys here. I'll go with Paris Ford since I didn't take a safety. I normally would go Trey Norwood, but I'll go with Paris Ford, safety out of Pittsburgh. A guy who was much higher at the beginning of this process than where he's ended up at.
Yep, same, right up there with Andre Sisco.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's weird to see, especially in this process. It's weird to see why guys are falling because it doesn't seem like there'd be any action going on that would cause anyone to fall or medicals or anything like that. But since Trey Norwood's there again, I'll just take him.
Man, you've got a draft class, man. Holy cow! How many picks do you have?
Too many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 picks so far, and then I've got. I think this is my last one here. And I'll take a guy that you guys. I don't know too much about him, but I believe I've seen you guys take him a couple times. But I'll go with DJ Daniel.
Dude, DJ Daniel's good, man. He's definitely a nickel guy.
Yeah,
he's got a ton of talent, man. Super athletic, 5'11". I mean, he can play special teams, which the Eagles need as well. You can never add enough depth at corner there. So I love DJ Daniel. He's been a regular on my mock drafts.
So I ended up taking 4 D-backs with my last 6 picks. There. So at that point, you're just like, it's kind of like what they did last year with Hightower and Quez Watkins. Didn't really work out because they both stink, but so at least you're just hoping one of those corners pan out or the safety pans out. So let's go to user picks.
All right, Rufus says Tegawan or Paris can't beat picks. So
I don't know much about Tegawan.
Yeah, neither do I. All right, do you want to just kind of grade your draft? How would you grade your draft, man? I'll give you a grade too.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of breaking it down pick by pick to give me a grade. Devonta Smith, I'd give an A+, obviously. Gregory Rousseau, A+. Eichenberg, that's a D. Just for the fact that I gave up so much to move up to get him. That's really the pick that drives me crazy. Sermon, B+. Wade, B+. And then the rest, I actually really think I love that Moses and that Darden pick right there. And then the swings at Paris Ford and Norwood and Daniel. For me, this is a pretty positive outcome. If we walked out of this, we won't because Howie Roseman's the general manager. But if we walked out of this with these picks, I would be extremely, extremely happy. I would suspend all Howie Roseman complaints for a year. This would be an extremely. I'll give it a B+, A-, just because of the Eichenberg trade. Being almost an A+ if I got that, it's 70.
Devontae Smith, A. Gregory Rousseau, love him. If you're reaching, like I said about Caleb Farley, you're reaching for a high ceiling guy in round 2, 100% all the time, every time. Eichenberg, I'm not that high on, to be honest. I see him more of a tackle guy. I think the Eagles prefer to have versatile guys. I don't know how much Eichenberg's going to be able to provide that. So this is one of those future down the line picks behind Lane Johnson. Is that right?
Yeah, but it's also he's such a plug and play guy that I think he might be a better option than Mailata or Dillard right away. And then maybe you're thinking about moving one of those guys, but that's obviously that was kind of just. I do think Eichenberg can play a little bit of guard, but he's definitely a tackle prospect.
I kind of see him as a Jack Driscoll, kind of the same guy. Trey Sermon, A. 100% love Trey Sermon. We talked on our pod 2 nights ago. We're pretty much in agreement. We're a little lower on Miles Sanders than probably the general public, and getting a guy that can consistently move the chains next to Miles Sanders. You look at Nick Sirianni's offense last year. You had a ground guy. You had a kind of a receiving threat. I think he's the perfect fit next to Miles Sanders because I do think Miles Sanders will pick up his receiving issues from last year. Shaun Wade is a good pick. I really like the Shaun Wade pick. I don't know what he is, to be honest, but the fact that Jonathan Gannon is an ex defensive backs coach, I think he could coach him up because he's kind of a jacks of all trade kind of corner for me. Dylan Moses, 100% A. Love Dylan Moses, even though they brought in what's his name from the Vikings. I'm drawing a blank.
Eric Wilson, or not?
Yeah,
Wilson.
Who I absolutely love. I project him at the Sam. Is that where you see him?
I'm not too sure. I just know that PFF graded him out really well. So that's a solid. It seems like we got him for a really cheap value for a guy, and it's kind of the same way that I feel about who else did we get for a pretty cheap value at I can't remember. Yeah, exactly. Anthony Harris. It's kind of similar moves. Like I'm not really sure why the Vikings let those guys go if they're really trying to compete this year, which by all signs they are. So definitely good pickups, it seems like.
Yeah, Eric Wilson, love that pickup. Really underrated. And Dylan Moses kind of is the same kind of guy. So to have him, learn under the ropes of Eric Wilson, he's like a front seven guy, stop the run, fill the hole, get to the quarterback, north to south, attack downfield kind of linebacker. Absolutely love him. Jalen Darden's amazing. I don't need to talk about that. Paris Ford's really good value there. I think I would give this a solid, probably B+ for me. B+. The only downgrade I have on this is versatility. I think there are some players here that don't have the versatility that I'm looking for. Other than that, though, I would be ecstatic. I would be 100% ecstatic with this draft. This is a very good draft. Let's go to mine. I've got J.C. Horn, Terrace Marshall, Carlos Basham, Chaz Surratt, Robert Rochelle, and Derek Forrest. It auto-picked for me because it was stupid and I wasn't paying attention. I was watching this show, and sometimes it does that. But that's Jalen Darden. So I double dipped. In wide receiver and cornerback, which I think is really smart because J.C. Horn, the league is built on playmaking and playmakers, and J.C. Horn, Robert Rochelle, Terrace Marshall, Jalen Darden. I think you're upgrading 2 major spots there on the outside. I think Darden's kind of like a really fun kind of fit in the Nick Sirianni offense. He can play slot. He's the upgrade over Greg Ward, who I love. Thank you for putting that jersey up, by the way. It's amazing. Then you've got Carlos Basham Jr., who is a pass rusher, immense size, definitely projects, has ceiling starting potential there on the outside because you don't know what you got with Barnett and Sweat moving forward. Major need there. Chaz Surratt can drop back in coverage, super athlete. I think he's a plug and play. Philly fans will love him. And Robert Rochelle is just super athletic, outside corner prospect that would just fit right in with Jonathan Gannon's defense. So I give this as probably I think probably a B+. What do you think?
Yeah, I was going to say B or B+ maybe. So the thing for me is I'm not quite as high on Horn. I think I have him 16 overall. So he's seemingly like when we're going through these options at 12 for me, he's the guy right in the middle. It's like there's guys like Kwity Paye or like a quarterback or guys that would really turn me off. Like that would really, really, really make me upset. And then there's guys like Devonta Smith, Jalen Waddle, even somehow Cal Pitts. That would make me like do cartwheels and I would go absolutely nuts. J.C. Horn is directly in the middle of those things. It would be like, oh, okay. I'd be like, all right, let's see what we do the rest of the draft. I'd be happy. It's like you get that corner, you lock him in. It would kind of be the same thing if they drafted like Christian Darrisaw. I'd be like, offensive lineman, like whatever. But it'd be fine. If that was so, I would say like if that Horn pick for me was Surtain, this draft would be like a Bizarro World version of what I would do. Like if I could get like Surtain, Marshall, Basham, Surratt as my first 4 picks, that would be like an A+ for me. Like, and then you also look at, you were talking about Jalen Darden's fit on the team. If you paired him with Terrace Marshall, that makes even more sense. You got little guy Jalen Darden running around in the slot, and Terrace Marshall on the outside, really going up and getting the ball, and really as a red zone threat. One of the best red zone receivers in the country last year, and with a terrible quarterback. So I think Terrace Marshall is a really, really good pick as first rounder. It's a guy that I'm higher on him than the Rashad Batemans of the world and a lot of guys, both of the Rondale Moore, Elijah Moore, the Moore brothers that aren't actually brothers. But I like Terrace Marshall a lot. And that would be a great pick there. Carlos Basham, I've already talked about. I love Basham. I think he's a first rounder. So in my opinion, you got 3 first-round picks here with Horn, Marshall, and Basham personally. And then Surratt I have as a second rounder. So those first 4 picks are just excellent. I don't know too much about Rochelle. I like him already because he's from Central Arkansas. And then Jalen Darden I obviously am obsessed with. And I'm at the point where if we don't get Jalen Darden or Trey Sermon, just one of them, I'm going to be like legitimately upset. Like,
it's so true. I didn't even think of that. Dude, I have like contributed probably hundreds and hundreds of hours into Trey Sermon and Jalen Darden in the most creepy way possible. Like, if the Eagles don't get one of those guys, oh man, I'd be devastated. But yeah, I think of Nick Sirianni's offense, and you got Jalen Darden, a guy can just put all over the field. You've got Marshall put all over the field. You've got Jalen Rieger put all over the field. I'm good with that. Let's roll. Like, hopefully a more healthy offensive line behind Jalen Hurts. I'm okay with that. I think Nick Sirianni has a lot of toys there and ability to kind of a lot of motion offense, get moving, like pre-snap movement type of guys and weapons there for Jalen Hurts. So I would be happy with this draft too. I'd be really, really happy. I'm just happy that Justin Fields wasn't there at 12 or Mac Jones and a no trade draft that I didn't have to like mess around with that. Let's do this. There we go. All right, man, let's wrap it up. Plugs. Where can we find you? What do you got going on, Mark?
So you can follow me right there at Mark Henry Jr. _ and you can follow the Tough Cover Podcast at Tough Cover Pod. There won't be there might be a Tough Cover Podcast tomorrow. I think there will be really early. I think I'm going to try to do an 8 or 9 a.m. show. But then I'm going on a quick weekend vacation. So no Tough Cover Podcast for the weekend. No Marking Out Podcast on Sunday. But you can also go follow at Marking Out Pod. That's the new wrestling podcast that I'm doing, the Marking Out with Mark wrestling podcast. I'm excited about it. The intro that Dives made is A+. When he had the Stone Cold and The Rock, the entrance in The Rock doing the eyebrow, I marked out. So please go follow at Marking Out Pod, and then follow at Tough Cover Pod.
When are you doing the old 90s wrestling matches, man? Because I went in.
I think I'm gonna try to. I think it's gonna be a Sunday type pod because pay-per-views are on Sundays. So then on the weeks and the months that there aren't pay-per-views, I think I'm gonna do old time pay-per-views, watch-alongs like that. So I'm gonna try to come up with a theme, maybe a year. I'm still thinking about it. I'm still batting it back and forth with the 2 guys that I had on the show, but I'm excited to see what we kind of do moving forward.
That'd be cool to like do like a history of Generation X or like
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's so many things that are so fun, like near and dear to my heart going back in the day. But make sure you follow my man at Mark Henry Jr. _ Check out the Tough Cover Podcast here on the channel. I guess thank you everyone for watching. 2 weeks. We are 2 weeks away. Stay tuned to Party on Broad. We're going to be doing within the next 2 weeks our final big board. We're going to do a final mock draft. I'm going to do a video of an article I wrote for thepaintlines.com, which is the worst case scenario mock draft, which is trades galore. Trades galore. If everyone we just talked about is not there at 12, what do you do if you're Howie Roseman? I want to make a video of that with highlight reels. That'll be coming probably tomorrow. But, man, thank you, Mark, for always joining, man. You are the best. You are the best. Check out the Tough Cover Podcast. I guess for Mark, for myself, Thanks for watching, guys. Stay awesome.
Sixers win it! Wow! Oh man, and being just posterized, Russell Westbrook.